April 30th, 1943. A fisherman off the coast of Spain pulls something from the water. It's a body. British officer, face bloated, skin gray. A briefcase chained to his wrist. The Spanish authorities call the Germans within the hour. Nazi intelligence photographs every page inside that briefcase. Within 3 days, those documents land on Hitler's desk. Hitler reads them, studies the invasion plans, consults his generals. Then, he makes a decision that will cost Germany the war. He moves 90,000 troops to Greece, reinforces Sardinia with 2 panzer divisions, strips Sicily of its best defenses, all based on documents carried by a corpse. There's just one problem. The man isn't real. The documents are fake. And 2 British intelligence officers are watching from London, waiting to see if Hitler takes the bait. He does. How do you convince the most paranoid dictator in history that you're about to invade Greece when you're actually invading Sicily? How do you make a corpse that's been dead for 3 months look like it drowned yesterday? How do you create an entire fake person, complete with love letters, bank statements, and a fiancé convincing enough to fool Nazi intelligence? And how do you pull off the most elaborate military deception in history using nothing but a dead homeless man and a briefcase full of lies? This is Operation Mincemeat, the deception that tricked Hitler into moving 90,000 troops to the wrong country. The operation that saved an estimated 30,000 Allied lives. And the story of how 2 British officers turned a man who died alone in a London hospital into the most important spy of World War II. Before we show you exactly how they pulled this off, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling us where you're watching from and whether you think using a corpse for military deception was justified or crossed a line. Because what you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about World War II espionage. But to understand how this operation worked, we need to go back 2 years earlier to a basement office in London where 2 men are staring at a problem that seems impossible to solve. September 1941, London. The city is being bombed every night. Buildings collapse, fires rage, thousands die. But in a basement office beneath Whitehall, 2 men are working on something that could change the war. Ewen Montagu is 40 years old, naval intelligence officer, a lawyer in civilian life, the kind of man who arranges his pencils in perfect parallel lines. He's part of the 20 Committee, a secret group tasked with deceiving the Germans through false intelligence. His partner is Charles Cholmondeley, 27, Royal Air Force officer. His tie is always slightly crooked. His ideas are always slightly insane. A year earlier, Cholmondeley proposed dropping glowing paint on German soldiers to make them think they were radioactive. The idea was rejected, but it got him noticed. Together, they're an odd pair. Montagu provides the discipline, Cholmondeley provides the imagination. And right now, they're facing an impossible problem. The Allies are planning to invade Sicily in July 1943. It's the obvious target, the stepping stone from North Africa into Europe, which means Hitler knows it's coming. His generals know it's coming. Every military strategist in the world knows it's coming. The Germans will be waiting, dug in, fortified, ready. The invasion could turn into a massacre, unless the Allies can convince Hitler that Sicily is a diversion, that the real invasion is coming somewhere else. But here's the problem. How do you deceive the most paranoid man in history? October 1942. Cholmondeley walks into Montagu's office carrying a file folder. He doesn't knock. He never knocks. Inside is a memo from Rear Admiral John Godfrey, Director of Naval Intelligence. The memo is titled The Trout Memo, a collection of wild ideas for deceiving the enemy. Montagu scans the list. Most of it is nonsense. Then his eyes stop on one line. A corpse could be dropped from an aircraft with fake documents, making it appear the aircraft had crashed. Cholmondeley proposes a variation. What if they make it look like a plane crash at sea? A courier carrying secret documents. The body washes ashore in Spain. The Spanish find it. They're officially neutral, but everyone knows they're friendly with the Germans. They'll pass the documents to Nazi intelligence. Montagu stares at the memo. The idea is insane. Use a dead body to trick Hitler. But not just any dead body. They'd create an entire person. A name, a rank, a backstory, love letters in his pocket, theater ticket stubs. Make him so real that when the Germans investigate, they find exactly what they expect to find. Montagu's pen taps once, twice, 3 times. It could work. The plan is insane, but it's also brilliant. If they can pull it off, they won't just deceive German intelligence, they'll deceive Hitler himself. But first, they need a body. Not just any body. It has to be fresh enough to pass as a recent drowning. It has to be the right age, military age, 30s or early 40s. And it has to be someone whose death won't be investigated. Here's the problem. Where do you find a corpse that meets all those requirements? Montagu contacts Sir Bernard Spilsbury, Britain's most famous pathologist, the man who solved some of the country's most notorious murder cases. Spilsbury is intrigued. He agrees to help. For weeks, they wait. Morgues across London are on alert. They need someone who died of pneumonia or exposure, something that could pass for drowning. They need someone with no family, no one to ask questions. Then, in January 1943, they get a call. A 34-year-old man has died at St. Pancras Hospital, pneumonia, possibly from ingesting rat poison. No family, no one to claim the body. His name is Glyndor Michael, a homeless man, a drifter, someone the world forgot. But Montagu and Cholmondeley are about to make him the most important man in the war. They just have to turn him into someone else. February 1943. Montagu and Cholmondeley begin building their fake officer. They name him Captain William Martin, Royal Marines, serial number 148228. But a name isn't enough. They need to create an entire life. They start with documents. A military ID card with a photograph. They use a photo of a young intelligence officer who resembles the corpse. An identity card. A letter from Lloyd's Bank about an overdraft of £79. A receipt for an engagement ring purchased at a London jeweler. Then they add personal touches. 2 love letters from his fiancée, Pam. The letters are written by a secretary in the intelligence office named Hester Leggett. She pours real emotion into them. The letter reads, "I do think, dearest, that Mummy is being rather difficult. I won't let her be beastly to you, darling. I've been thinking of the wonderful weekend we had, and I can hardly believe that it was only 48 hours ago." A photograph of Pam, actually a photo of an MI5 clerk named Jean Leslie, who volunteers for the operation. Theater ticket stubs from the Prince of Wales Theatre, April 22, 1943. 2 tickets. Martin took Pam to see a show 2 days before he died. A receipt from Gevis Limited for a new shirt, £3. Cigarette stubs, loose change, a book of stamps. Even a stern letter from Martin's father about the overdraft. Every detail is carefully chosen. Every item tells a story. But here's what makes it genius. They don't just create documents that prove Martin existed. They create documents that prove he was careless with money, in love, and slightly irresponsible. In other words, they make him human. Because that's what the Germans will investigate. Not whether the documents are real, but whether the man is real. But the most important part of the deception isn't in Martin's pockets. It's in the briefcase chained to his wrist. Inside the briefcase are 2 letters. The first is from Lieutenant General Archibald Nye, Vice Chief of the Imperial General Staff, to General Harold Alexander, Commander of British forces in North Africa. The letter discusses Allied invasion plans. It mentions Sicily, but only as a cover story. A diversion to fool the Germans. The real invasion, the letter suggests, will hit Greece and Sardinia. The letter reads, "We stand a very good chance of making the enemy think we will go for Sicily. It is an obvious objective, and one about which he must be nervous. We'll let him see the obvious preparations, and then hit him where he doesn't expect it." The second letter is from Lord Louis Mountbatten to Admiral Andrew Cunningham. It's more casual. introducing Captain Martin as a courier and expert on landing craft. Both letters are carefully worded. They don't state the deception too obviously. They're written the way real military correspondence would be written, with subtle references, inside jokes, bureaucratic language. If the Germans intercept these letters, they'll believe they've stumbled onto genuine intelligence. But here's the problem. How do they get the body to Spain? And how do they make sure the Spanish find it and pass it to the Germans? The plan is precise. They'll transport the body by submarine to the coast of Huelva, Spain. Why Huelva? Because the local Spanish intelligence officer there, Adolf Klaus, is known to be a Nazi sympathizer. Agent number V319 in German intelligence files. He'll definitely pass the documents to the Germans. The body will be released just offshore, where the tide will carry it to the beach. But first, they have to preserve the corpse. Glyndor Michael's body has been kept on ice for weeks. They dress him in a Royal Marines uniform. They chain the briefcase to his wrist with a steel chain. They place a life jacket on him, partially inflated, the way it would be if someone had tried to save themselves. Sir Bernard Spilsbury examines the body one final time. He tells them the body will pass for a drowning victim, but they have to get him in the water within 24 hours, or decomposition will give them away. On April 19, 1943, the body is placed in a steel canister filled with dry ice. The canister is labeled Optical Instruments. It's loaded onto HMS Seraph, a British T-class submarine. The crew is told they're carrying a secret weapon. They have no idea they're transporting a corpse. April 28, 1943, 4:30 a.m. HMS Seraph surfaces off the coast of Huelva. The crew opens the canister. The smell hits them immediately. Death. Decay. Despite the dry ice, the body has started to decompose. Lieutenant Norman Jewell, the submarine commander, stares at the corpse. Montagu's liaison officer explains, it's a deception operation. The body needs to be released into the water. The tide will carry it to shore. Jewell is horrified, but orders are orders. They remove the body from the canister. They check the briefcase, still chained to the wrist. They check the pockets, documents still in place. The body is stiff, bloated. The skin has a grayish tint. One of the crew members vomits over the side, but they proceed. Jewell reads from the Book of Common Prayer. A burial at sea for a man who never served. A funeral for a spy who never existed. The prayer reads, "We therefore commit his body to the deep, to be turned into corruption, looking for the resurrection of the body when the sea shall give up her dead." They slide the body into the water. It floats for a moment, face down, then begins to drift towards shore. The submarine submerges and disappears. Now, they wait. April 30th, 1943, 9:30 a.m. Jose Antonio Rey Maria is checking his nets off Punta Umbria Beach. He's a sardine fisherman, been working these waters for 20 years. He sees something floating in the water. At first, he thinks it's debris from a shipwreck. The war has left the coast littered with wreckage. Then, he sees the uniform, a body, British, a briefcase chained to the wrist. Rey Maria pulls the body to shore and runs to alert the authorities. Within an hour, Spanish naval officers arrive. They examine the body. They find the identity card, Captain William Martin, Royal Marines. They find the letters in the briefcase. This is exactly what Montagu and Cholmondeley hoped for. But now comes the dangerous part. The Spanish authorities notify the British vice consul in Huelva, standard procedure for a dead British officer. But they also notify Adolf Klaus. Klaus immediately recognizes the opportunity. Secret British documents, invasion plans. He photographs every page in the briefcase before returning them to the British. The British vice consul receives the briefcase and sends it back to London. When Montagu examines it, he can tell immediately the documents have been opened. The seals are broken. The papers have been disturbed. The Germans have taken the bait. But have they believed it? May 1943. The photographed documents travel from Spain to Berlin. They land on the desk of Admiral Wilhelm Canaris, head of the Abwehr, German military intelligence. Canaris is suspicious by nature. He's been in the intelligence game for decades. He knows the British are masters of deception, but the documents look genuine. The paper is right, British government issue. The signatures match known samples. The language is authentic, bureaucratic, detailed, exactly how British military correspondence reads. Canaris orders his analysts to investigate Captain William Martin. They check with Spanish authorities. The body was examined by a Spanish doctor who confirmed death by drowning. The uniform is genuine Royal Marines issue. The personal effects, love letters, ticket stubs, receipts, all check out. They investigate Pam, the fiancée. They can't find her, but that's not surprising. Wartime security means many records are restricted. They check the bank overdraft letter. It references Lloyd's Bank, 68 Lombard Street, London, a real bank. They check the theater tickets. The Prince of Wales Theatre did show a performance on April 22, 1943. Every detail confirms the story. Canaris takes the documents to Hitler. May 12, 1943. The Wolf's Lair. Hitler's headquarters in East Prussia. Hitler reads the letters. He studies the maps. He consults with his generals. Field Marshal Wilhelm Keitel, chief of the armed forces, is convinced. The documents are genuine. Hitler agrees. The British will invade Greece and Sardinia. Sicily is a diversion. He orders massive troop movements. The 1st Panzer Division is sent to Greece. The 90th Panzer Grenadier Division is moved to Sardinia. Coastal defenses in Sicily are reduced. 90,000 German troops are repositioned, all based on documents carried by a dead, homeless man. If you're enjoying this story, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. We're breaking down the greatest deceptions in history, and you don't want to miss what happens next. Drop a comment. Do you think this was brilliant or unethical? Because the Germans are about to do something that could expose their entire operation. But there's a problem Montagu and Cholmondeley didn't anticipate. The British have to maintain the deception. If Captain Martin's body was found, there should be a funeral. There should be a grave. There should be official records. So they create them. Martin is buried in Huelva with full military honors. The Spanish authorities arrange a Catholic funeral. A gravestone is erected. The inscription reads, William Martin, Captain, Royal Marines, died April 24th, 1943, age 36. British officials attend the funeral. They send flowers. They maintain the fiction. But they also have to make sure no one in Britain starts asking questions about a Captain Martin who doesn't exist. They create false records in the Royal Marines Registry. They backdate his commission. They create a service history. If German intelligence digs deeper, they'll find exactly what they expect to find. But here's what they don't know. The Germans are about to dig deeper. June 1943. British intelligence intercepts German communications through Ultra, the secret program that had cracked the German Enigma code. The intercepts confirm it. Hitler has moved troops to Greece. He's reinforced Sardinia. He believes Sicily is a diversion. Montagu sends a coded message to Churchill. Mincemeat swallowed whole. Churchill is delighted, but they can't celebrate yet. The invasion is still weeks away. If the Germans discover the deception before then, they'll move troops back to Sicily. Montagu and Cholmondeley have to maintain the lie until the very last moment. They continue to feed false intelligence through other channels. Double agents report troop movements toward Greece. Fake radio traffic suggests preparations for a Balkans invasion. Every piece of intelligence reinforces the mincemeat deception. The Germans never suspect a thing. But then, 3 weeks before the invasion, something goes wrong. June 18th, 1943. A German intelligence officer in Madrid named Karl Erich Kuhlenthal is reviewing the Martin documents one final time. He's the one who originally received them from Adolf Klaus in Huelva. He's the one who sent them to Berlin with his highest recommendation. His career depends on these documents being genuine. He notices something. The bank overdraft letter in Martin's pocket is dated April 23, 1943. but Martin supposedly died on April 24th. How did he receive a letter dated the day before his death and have it in his pocket when he drowned? Kuhlenthal stares at the letter. It doesn't make sense. He picks up the phone, calls Berlin. He tells them he has concerns about the Martin documents. He requests an immediate investigation. In London, Montagu and Cholmondeley have no idea. June 20th, 1943. The Abwehr launches a full investigation into Captain William Martin. They send agents back to Huelva. They re-interview the fisherman. They exhume the body. A German pathologist examines the corpse. He studies the decomposition, the water in the lungs, the condition of the skin. His report is sent to Berlin. The body is consistent with drowning, but the level of decomposition suggests the man may have been dead longer than the documents indicate. The pathologist can't be certain, but he notes his concerns. June 25th, 1943. The report reaches the desk of Colonel Georg Hansen, head of Abwehr Section 1. He reads it carefully. The date discrepancy, the pathologist's concerns, Kuhlenthal's suspicions. Hansen calls a meeting with Admiral Canaris. If the Martin documents are fake, it means the British are planning to invade Sicily, not Greece, which means 90,000 German troops are in the wrong place, and the invasion is less than 2 weeks away. Hansen recommends moving troops back to Sicily immediately. Canaris considers it, then he makes a decision. He trusts the original assessment. The documents are genuine. The British are masters of deception, yes, but this deception is too elaborate, too detailed, too perfect. No intelligence service could create a fake person this convincing. Canaris tells Hansen to file the report. The troops stay in Greece. In London, Montagu and Cholmondeley never learn how close they came to disaster. July 9th, 1943, 10 p.m. Operation Husky begins. The invasion of Sicily. 160,000 Allied troops launch from North Africa. The largest amphibious assault in history to that point, bigger than anything attempted before. American forces land on the southern beaches. British and Canadian forces hit the eastern coast. They expect fierce resistance. Thousands of German troops, artillery, machine gun nests, minefields. A bloodbath. Instead, they find skeleton defenses. The beaches are lightly guarded. German forces are scattered, disorganized. Many of the best units have been moved to Greece. The Allies push inland with minimal casualties. Within 24 hours, they've secured the beachheads. Within a week, they've captured key ports and airfields. The invasion that could have cost tens of thousands of lives succeeds with relatively light losses, all because Hitler believed a lie carried by a corpse. Military historians later estimate that Operation Mincemeat saved at least 30,000 Allied lives. July 12, 1943. Hitler realizes he's been deceived. The invasion of Sicily isn't a diversion, it's the real thing. He's furious. He demands to know how German intelligence was fooled. Admiral Canaris is called to explain. He reviews the Mincemeat documents again. He orders a new investigation into Captain William Martin. German agents in Spain dig deeper. They interview the fisherman who found the body. They question the Spanish doctor who examined it. They investigate the grave in Huelva. Everything still checks out. The body was real. The documents appeared genuine. The personal effects were authentic. Canaris concludes that the documents were genuine, but the British changed their plans at the last minute. Hitler accepts the explanation. He never discovers the truth. August 17, 1943. After 38 days of fighting, Sicily falls to the Allies. 130,000 German and Italian troops are killed, wounded, or captured. Allied casualties are significantly lower than expected, about 20,000 compared to the 50,000 plus that had been projected if Sicily had been fully defended. The success in Sicily opens the door to mainland Italy. Within weeks, Mussolini is overthrown. Italy surrenders. The war in Europe has turned decisively in the Allies' favor, and it all started with a homeless man's corpse and a briefcase full of lies. September 1943. Montagu and Cholmondeley are quietly commended for their work. They receive no medals, no public recognition. The operation remains classified. They're told to never speak of it. Not to their families, not to their friends, not even to other intelligence officers. Operation Mincemeat must remain secret. If the Germans discover they were fooled by a corpse, they'll never trust captured documents again. Future deceptions will be impossible. The secret must be protected. Montagu and Cholmondeley agree. They lock away their files. They return to their regular duties. The man who made it all possible, Glyndor Michael, the homeless drifter whose body became Captain William Martin, remains buried in Spain. His real name isn't on the gravestone. His family never learns what happened to him. He died forgotten. But his death changed the course of history. For decades, the truth remains hidden, until 1953, when Montagu finally tells the story. 1953, 10 years after Operation Mincemeat, Ewen Montagu publishes a book, The Man Who Never Was. The war is over. The operation can finally be declassified. Montagu reveals the entire story. The corpse, the fake identity, the deception that fooled Hitler. The book becomes an international bestseller. It's adapted into a film in 1956. The world is fascinated. How did they pull it off? Whose body did they use? Montagu protects Glyndor Michael's identity. He refers to him only as a man who had no family to mourn him. But historians start digging. They search death records from 1943. They investigate unclaimed bodies in London hospitals. In 1996, historian Roger Morgan finally identifies the body. Glyndor Michael, 34 years old, homeless, died of pneumonia after ingesting rat poison. Michael's story is tragic. Born in Wales, struggled with mental illness, drifted to London, died alone in a hospital. But in death, he became a hero. The revelation raises ethical questions. Did the British have the right to use Michael's body without his consent? His family was never asked. They never knew what happened to him. Some historians argued it was justified. The operation saved thousands of lives. Michael's body would have been buried in an unmarked grave anyway. Others argue it was a violation. Michael deserved dignity in death, not to be used as a prop in a military deception. The debate continues to this day. In 1998, the British government finally acknowledges Glyndor Michael's identity. A new plaque is added to his grave in Huelva. The inscription reads, Glyndor Michael, served as Major William Martin, RM. It's a small recognition, but it's something. The man who never was finally gets his real name back. Operation Mincemeat's success changed military deception forever. It proved that with enough attention to detail, you could fool even the most paranoid intelligence services. The operation became a template for future deceptions. During the D-Day invasion in 1944, the Allies used similar tactics. Operation Fortitude created an entire fake army, the first U.S. Army group, supposedly commanded by General Patton, preparing to invade Calais. Fake radio traffic, inflatable tanks, dummy landing craft. Hitler kept troops in Calais for weeks after D-Day, convinced the Normandy landings were a diversion. The techniques pioneered in Mincemeat, fake documents, elaborate backstories, attention to personal details, became standard practice. Montagu and Cholmondeley's innovation saved countless lives in subsequent operations. The operation also revealed something important about human psychology. People believe what they expect to believe. The Germans expected the Allies to invade Greece, so when they found documents confirming that expectation, they didn't question them. Confirmation bias, the tendency to accept information that confirms what you already think, is one of the most powerful forces in intelligence work. Operation Mincemeat exploited that bias perfectly. Modern intelligence agencies still study the operation. It's taught at CIA training facilities, at MI6, at military academies around the world. The lesson? The best deceptions don't fight against expectations, they reinforce them. Here's the final irony. Glyndor Michael spent his life invisible, homeless, forgotten, a man society ignored. But in death, he became the most important spy of World War II. He never fired a shot, never decoded a message, never went behind enemy lines, but he saved more lives than almost any soldier in the war. The man who never was became the man who changed everything. So here's the question we're left with. Was it right to use Glyndor Michael's body without his consent? Does the fact that it saved 30,000 lives justify the deception? Or should the dead be allowed to rest in peace, regardless of the circumstances? There's no easy answer. War forces impossible choices. Montagu and Cholmondeley made one of those choices, and because of it, thousands of soldiers came home to their families. If you like this video, hit that subscribe button. We're covering the greatest spy operations in history, and trust me, we're just getting started. Drop a comment. Do you think Operation Mincemeat was brilliant or unethical? And what spy story should we cover next? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.